We are back again. Thank you so much for being with School for Startups Radio. We sure do appreciate it. I am very excited to introduce you to my next guest. His name is Joshua Lisec, and he is a best-selling #1 ghostwriter. Has written 40 books for other people in the last 7 or 8 years, and almost all of them have done tremendously well. He has also been recognized and has been written about and written for a whole bunch of incredible publications as well. And places like Huffington Post and Founder Magazine, American Express, The Right Life, places like that. He's also been a TEDx speaker and has been interviewed on places like BBC Radio and places like that. He's also the creator of something called Ghost Publishing, which we will ask about, which is a hybrid between traditional and new publishing. Joshua, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hey, Jim, I'm glad to be here. I know people will be listening to this in a few weeks, but today's my birthday, the day of the interview. So this is a great gift right here.
Well, congratulations and happy birthday, and thanks for spoiling the illusion. My listeners had no clue that we pre-recorded, so you've ruined that forever in perpetuity. Joshua, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I am the giver and also the keeper of secrets.
Oh, that's right. You're the ghostwriter, so you know all of your... But you don't have legal protections the way my lawyer would, do you?
We actually worked that into the agreement. I have some pretty tight confidentiality agreements because I have so many A-list celebrity clients whose following are in the hundreds of millions, and so we keep it pretty tight. But there are a few that I don't have a confidentiality disclosure with. But in any case, where they say, "Yeah, I'd rather that not be in the book," then it's not in the book.
Sure. Well, I hope they get final approval over you anyway, for goodness sakes. All right, let's go through some of the basics. Let's start with why. Why write the book?
Why write the book? A real simple acronym, ACE. You want to be an ACE. You want authority, credibility, and go-to expertise. Authority, meaning when you become an author, you are the person who gets to say, I wrote the book on my industry. You immediately leapfrog maybe more established, experienced competitors because now you're a thought leader. You're the person who's packaged real material, not fluff, not filler, but 300 or so pages of your best tips, techniques, tricks, tactics from your industry to the general public. So that alone makes you the expert. Interestingly enough,
But you're already lying. You didn't write the book. You're starting off with the lie. And let me go ahead and segue into one of my other pet peeves. This is another lie. And I want to be honest with you, Joshua. I'm doing this lie too, okay? I'm perpetuating this lie as well. This best-selling BS. I'm a #1 best-selling author. That means, let's be honest, that means that on Amazon, 6 people bought the book within 1 hour. And you manipulated that. We all do know how to do it. And, then your book goes to #1 in its category. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's words that have become useless.
It depends on what category you're in. If you target a hyper-competitive category like entrepreneurship or...
True. Yes.
You have to sell actually hundreds, if not thousands of copies to beat guys.
Right. But people aren't doing that, though. They're going into the sub categories. It's like 9 little categories out, and I was a best-selling author there. I know you've seen people do it. I know you have.
Oh, yeah. There's quite a few snake oil sludge muffins out there in the publishing world who are like, I'll get you the #1 bestseller, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Well, if you put guaranteed behind that, then you're going to pick... Like, okay, you're writing a book on how to build a website, and the category you choose is New Testament biblical commentary.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a little sleazy. But on the topic of, did I write the book? Did I not? At the end of the day, everything that I write, it's my clients' ideas. It's their stories. It's their experiences. They just want someone else who can help them better interpret that and put into words what they're struggling to say. I like to think of it as kind of like having someone do your books, right? I do someone's book. An accountant does your books. It's your money at the end of the day. Someone else is just making sure that you're compliant, that you're following the proper budget, that everything's going where it needs to go.
That's a good analogy. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a good analogy. But anyway.
For my clients.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go back to The Who. I want to stress that I like this for anyone. I think all of our listeners should be writing a book. Even if you're the number one plumber in Dayton, I think that's worthy of a book. You got to be number one plumber somehow, some way. That didn't happen by plumbing accident, right? Plumbing accident. Get it? Ah, da da da. And so anyway, that's worthy of a book. So I think what I like about the ghostwriting, and I'll be honest with you, Joshua, I think what's so cool about what you're doing is that you take people that couldn't write a book, probably because they don't have the discipline to sit down and write for 3 hours a day for 90 days. And you turn those people into authority figures who should write a book. Are you with me that everyone should? And this is one of those help steps?
Yes, yes. So we find ourselves in an interesting place in the publishing industry. As you know, take any glance at the best-selling list, and this is what my clients do often come to me, is because they're a little ticked off at who is on the bestseller lists. It's their competitors in a lot of cases who have no idea what they're talking about.
And I met them at a conference, and they're a moron. They're a moron, Joshua. Moron.
You can definitely say that, and my clients do say that to me often. They come to me and they say, look, I got to set the record straight. So they often have a lot more experience. They have more success stories. They have more knowledge of the law of regulations in their industry, and they want to protect people from getting hoaxed by someone who has a large personal brand, a multi-billion-dollar marketing budget, but at the end of the day, they're not selling anything that's worth the pages it's written on, and so they want to come out and tell the truth.
All right, 300 pages. I thought 200. McGraw-Hill, I published with McGraw-Hill. They said we're not going to publish a page over 200. It's expensive and it doesn't add any value, and no one's going to pay extra for a 300-page book. So how long should a book be? And then what about these 80-page books? That's not a book, by the way. That's called a pamphlet or a novella or so. Again, it's like number one. I'm tired of people calling books something that you and I would call a pamphlet, a flyer. It's a flyer. It's 10 pages. It's a book. Can't say that. Didn't say that.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's kind of both ends, right? In the traditional publishing industry, there are some hard and fast rules, but there are many cases where rules are meant to be broken. A lot of the books that I write end up being about 200 pages, but there are some that get up into 300 pages just because there's graphics, there's studies, there's illustrations, maybe there's a larger font, there's different typefaces, all of that. But then again, if you have enough meat to fill 300 pages and it's not fluff, it's not filler, well then you darn better sure put all that stuff in there if it's going to be useful to the reader and it's on the same topic. So that's on the higher end. On the lower end, there are quite a few of these, I'll call them glorified transcriptionists, where they say, oh, we'll write your book for you and put it in a box and put it in print for you. And really what they do is they interview you for a few hours, they edit the typos out of your transcript, and then they reformat it 8.5 by 5.5 and call it a book. That's not a book, that's a glorified transcript.
McGraw-Hill published mine, which was a glorified transcript, by the way. So I got away with that one. You're right. Okay.
You're being modest, Jim.
So, no, I'm not being modest. That's exactly what it was. So what is your process? How is it different? I like the interview process because it allows people who can't write but are very articulate to tell a great story, and then all of a sudden the story is at least on paper. So I like the transcription, get the transcription edited professionally, and then I sit down and clean that up and add to that. That's one of my processes. So how do you work with your clients, Joshua?
Yes. One of the starting points actually is, what have you already written? Is there any material that we could repurpose for this process? Have you given interviews? Have you done speeches that have received a great reception? We don't want to reinvent the wheel. So what parts of the wheel do you already have? Maybe a couple of spokes, maybe a hub even, that we can start with. From there, we put together a list of topics you want to make sure are in this book. Because in fiction, there's the hero's journey, right? The protagonist conquers evil, gets the girl, etc. In nonfiction, you, the reader, are the hero. So in nonfiction, we're taking you, the reader, on a journey from where you are to where you want to be, and you are Luke Skywalker, and the author is Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so what the idea is that in nonfiction, we have to know what it's going to take to get you to that level of success you want to experience. And again, whatever industry, whatever category it is. So we find out what are the stops along the way that are going to get you to the destination. Then what we do is we reorganize that according to the linear step-by-step or chronological order that makes the most sense. And then we have conversations on those topics to really flesh them out. I don't call this process an interview. I call it an un-interview because it's casual, it's conversational, and it's not just asking questions, writing it down, or recording it. It's going a little bit deeper into knowing what needs to be in the book that maybe the author doesn't have top of mind. So there are some best practices for book templates in the publishing industry. And so let's say we know what type of a story needs to start, chapter 1. And if that doesn't come up in casual conversation, well, we need to make sure that we have questions around diving into that topic so we have a compelling story that will start chapter 1. And of course, we do take the transcripts, we add in the repurposed material, and we flesh it out as needed. There are some cases where 500 words worth of transcript will become 5,000 words of a chapter because it needs to be fleshed out, given life, given explanations, add in the secondary examples, put the call to action in the right place, and then it's good to go at that point.
All right. Final questions about the ghostwriting piece: cost and length of time. How long is it going to take you, and how many millions does it cost?
How many millions? Well, there are a few zeros involved for sure. I always like to give kind of a range because every author's starting with a different project and they're starting in a different place. I have kind of a done with you process where I'm actually kind of coaching the process along, helping them, doing live editing on their screen with an author. This is for the ones who are a little cash flow sensitive, but they still want the supervision of a successful ghostwriter. That starts at only $1,500 a month. If we get into complex projects, maybe there's multiple books involved, there's an additional workbook or a planner that comes along with the book, then we can get definitely about 50, 75, or even 100,000 for the entire project. But of course, this is an investment, and you're going into this expecting magnificent return on this investment. You have the J. Conrad Levinson guerrilla marketing mindset, which his book, he always said, it only got him $30,000 in royalties, but the spin-off books, consulting, and speeches and workshops accounted for $9,970,000 in revenue just from that one book. In terms of timing, it can be as short as 3 to 5 months, this process. But if you have some projects already in the queue and you want to make sure that you can promote this thing right, it can go anywhere from 10 to 15 months from beginning to the book actually being out and available for purchase.
All right. Let's move on to publishing now. So we've got our masterpiece written. It's somewhere between War and Peace and, some Homeric Odyssey or something like that, right? Do you help get it published? Do you only go through the ghost publishing process? Talk to me about the publishing now.
Yes, I'm at about 80-20. About 20% of my clients, they want to go the traditional publishing route. So I help them with the proposal, the query letter, the sourcing the right agent, all that sort of a thing, because that's just what they have in their heart to get. But a lot of my more entrepreneurial clients, about 80% of them, want to go an independent route. And so what we've offered them is we've created a complementary process to ghostwriting called ghost publishing. And ghostwriting, someone else does all the work, you get to take the credit. Ghost publishing, someone else does the work of establishing your own publishing business right alongside of your business. And you get to sit back and quite literally collect the royalty checks. Ghost publishing, as you said, Jim, is the combination of the best of self-publishing and the best of traditional publishing. Well, what's the best of self-publishing? Total creative control, higher royalties per sale, and your timeline. Not the book deal and then 3 years from now, that sort of a thing. You have complete control over the process. Traditional publishing, obviously, distribution, quality, the professionalism, and that third-party oversight of everything to make sure the book has its best chances of commercial success. We've combined all of those together. The pros eliminated the cons. That's ghost publishing.
All right, so I'm going to have my own moniker then for my own imprint, Jim Beach Publishing Company.
That's correct. You could call it that. You could name it after your business. A lot of clients, they just repurpose their business and the business becomes the publisher of record, and they get such things as the cataloging and publication, which goes on the copyright page. Like, this is a real book. indistinguishable from the quality, the professionalism of a Wall Street Journal bestseller you see when you walk into a books and company or to a Barnes and Noble. We get international distribution in almost 100 countries, the print edition, the digital edition, and of course the audio edition we take care of as well, because nowadays about 20% of all book sales, it's the audio edition people want to read, or hear, I should say.
Right. And what about the entire Amazon distribution strategy? What are your thoughts on publishing or writing purely for Amazon? And I mentioned earlier the 80-page book. I saw a speaker somewhere say that the sweet spot right now is the $2.99 price point for an $80 book, that you come out with 5 of them, and you do number 1, number 2, number 3, and people binge or read them almost, and 80 pages just seems to be the sweet spot on that.
Yes, that's a little bit more realistic if you're just doing the digital edition. I have a
Exactly,
yes. They're basically the Kindle exclusive, and we're getting like $2 or $2 and change, from each sale of the book.
$2.13, I think.
Yeah, and so people understand that that if it's a series like Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, then yes, definitely bingeable, and it's comparable to like spending $20 on a hardcover paperback or a hardcover book that's maybe 350, maybe even 400 pages or so. So in terms of the cost, you're definitely getting the value. If you spend $25 on a book series, maybe you're getting even more than that. And for the author, of course, what you get to have is obviously multiple books you have authored. But if there are high profit, low competition keywords that you use some tools to kind of figure out what you should be writing about, each book can ultimately drive traffic to your website. It can find organic readers that are out there, organic searches that are looking for information, willing to pay for that information, and you can make $2 a search, pretty much.
Yeah. Have you heard of this Amazon website, or did I just teach you about it right now?
You just taught me about it just now. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it's named after
It's after a river.
Yeah.
In Africa. It's a river in Africa, I think.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are almost out of time. Great information. And again, Joshua, I want you to write a book for every single person listening here. All 3 of our listeners need to write a book, and it changes everything about your entrepreneurial career. So how do we find out more about you? Get in touch, hire you, all that stuff, follow you online, all that.
Sure thing. You can find me over at my company website, entrepreneurswordsmith.com. Entrepreneurs is plural. Word and Smith are, Word and Smith, entrepreneurswordsmith.com. I have several free tools that aspiring authors can use, one of which is a book ideas generator to help you get the right direction on your book. Maybe you're not sure if it's any good. Well, this tool will actually help you sharpen it and take a vague idea and make it into one that's tight, clean, and compelling. That's just one of the tools. I also have about 100 free trainings on my YouTube channel, all things book writing, publishing, and marketing. All you got to do is search Joshua Lisec, and you'll find me over there.
Great stuff. Joshua, thank you so much for being with us, and hope you'll come back soon. You promised that you were going to, for the first time ever, reveal one of your celebrity clients that you're not allowed to. Who was that again that you were going to reveal?
Yeah, it was first name dot last name.
I'm sorry, say that again, slower?
Yes, it was first name dot last name. You can look them up on Twitter.
Joshua, thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon.